Hello, our Ipsters out there. Ben loves it when I start that way. Our Imperfect Parenting Podcast is here. We're having fun.
It's always exciting. I'm like, how's she going to begin this one?
It's likely going to start with a hello or a hey or a hi.
Not the like specific first
ho.
word.
What is that? Little Stuart Little?
Yes.
Little hi, little low, little hey, little ho, little no, little toe. I don't know.
Imperfect Parenting Show.
Just making it up now.
I am. I watched it a lot, but I can't remember how it goes. We've lost
That was
Ben.
quite the deviation from starting.
Yeah. You said you were wondering how is this going to go. I'm just trying to keep the audience and
Stop saying words that rhyme with go.
Okay.
Show. All right.
I stopped.
Thank you. It is good to be here. If you don't like a little banter, I'm sorry. That's never going to go away.
No. If you're around us, it's about the same too.
Yeah. Back and forth. We just had a moment with Ashley. She's making fun of me as well. So whatever. That's what we do here.
It happens.
All right. Today's meme.
I think this one's super funny
It is funny.
because I have a funny story that goes with it.
Okay. Well, I'll read it, then you laugh. Okay.
Okay. I'll practice. Haha. I'm ready.
That was great. Really good laugh. All right. It's just a blank canvas. Maroon, as we say in Australia. Maroon is the color.
Sure.
Yep. With writing on it. I'm just trying to give descriptions here. Be very descriptive. This is what it says. She's laughing. See? You're doing a great job. The tricky thing about parenting is that you can never tell if you're doing a good job or not because your supervisor is a child and their feedback is insane.
This is true.
It is true.
I was thinking about when Delaney sprayed herself in the face with pepper spray. And
You got written up?
I got in so much trouble because she got into my friend's purse, dug around in her purse, pulled out her keys that had on pepper spray, decided to turn it and spray it in her own face. And so when we're driving to the hospital, she's asking me if she's going to get a shot. I said, I don't know. She asked me if she's going to go blind. I said, I don't know. I said, I don't know what's going to happen. And then she says, what kind of mother has a friend that you let come in the house with dangerous weapons? And I'm thinking, child, if you weren't nosy and you would have stayed out of her stuff, we wouldn't be in the situation. But she was 8. So it wasn't like she was 2.
Mm-hmm.
She was 8 years old. But my favorite, I still, to this day, am in our Honda Pilot driving, and she's yelling, what kind of mother
Insane
invites
feedback.
friends with dangerous weapons? Camille, if you're listening, I love you.
Yep.
Okay, so much fun. But that's good. All right, we have a fun question. I'm going to read it to you.
This one's pretty revealing of the Oscar as well.
Yeah, you can't see all the emojis with it, but I'll try and do my best to add them for your entertainment, just because they were excited about it. Was the video game you denied your son, was it Fortnite? With a sneaky little cheeky face? Did you finally let him experience the awesomeness of the game? At least by agreeing not to let him play the girl characters, kind of a sweating of brow, smiley face. I appreciate that you were at least involved in the screaming of the games. So one can guess what his or her opinions were on our choice of this video game.
It's not really a question, actually. It's really just, I appreciate that you were good parents. Was it Fortnite? Because I love that game.
Totally.
And this is a real question we got one time.
I know. We also have gotten a question, do you drive a Tesla? And things about Gavin Newsom, which I think is pretty funny. The questions people sent us. But the answer is yes, it was Fortnite. And yes, he does play it now. We've had lots of conversations around it. It's been a couple years since this happened. So things have changed a bit just in, I think his exposure to life. And, he goes to youth group and I can't control what the girls wear there. So this is reality. This little boy's life is expanding as far as who he's around and what he's seeing. But when he was younger, and this first came out when I tell the story, he wasn't going to youth group around girls who are matured in their
Experimenting.
all that. So I don't know how else to say that, PG-ish, but yeah. Ashley's nodding. She's just like, don't continue. Don't say anything more, Brittney.
She's like, I approve this message up to this point.
It could get really bad. Now she's trying to keep her water in her mouth. It'd be funny if we
I swallowed my water.
Okay. Yeah, so I think at this season, when this first happened, Lincoln was in a very different spot. So what he was exposed to was, kids ministry. And I haven't seen any children walking around with tube tops and cleavage. So I wasn't worried about it. But now it's the chances of that happening is higher.
He's having to navigate a different world.
For sure. So, yeah, we have been engaged in all of his screenings of his games, different ones that he's wanted to play.
And he had a hard time with it too. He had a hard time with the no for a long time.
That we didn't let him play it.
Yeah. Because his friends are, if you're a parent in this stage, you've heard all the things. My friends are doing it. It's not fair. It's fine. Like, buddy, I'm not their parent.
Yeah.
If I was, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
It's true.
But I'm your dad. I'm your parent. So we're gonna have this conversation and walk it out as a family, not just do it because someone else is.
Right.
That's not how we make decisions here.
So, yeah, I mean, will there be more games to find? I'm sure. I don't. Again, it's a funny question, but it was entertaining, so we thought we'd put it on here for you.
Yeah.
I think everybody has their own. We've talked about this before, as far as like, your world of devices and this and that. And we're just telling you about our experiences and what we did. I think you've got to take. There's so many people that are great out there talking about parenting stuff. So many different approaches. Some of them are like almost exactly the same. They just say it different, so you hear it different. I mean, it's awesome. It's so awesome how much stuff is out there. So with that, I think you just need to take what it is that you're needing and you navigate it yourself. And some people are like, no video games at all. Great. That's your house, not my house.
Yep.
Just totally, like, there's no shame in, it's like, are you a working mom or are you a stay-at-home mom? I don't care. It's awesome. Go be great at whatever it is that you're doing. Yep. However you're navigating your family, I hope that you're doing it the best that you can with the conviction of the Lord in it.
That's right.
That's what you're meant to do. And
don't try and put your conviction on me or vice versa.
Totally.
It's not helping anyone.
And I hope we are just a great place for you to get ideas, sounding board, and navigate leaning into.
Yeah, and it's more so the heart of the issue more than how you handle the issue. For us, it's really keep checking on your heart. What's my motivation here? What am I protecting? So
right.
Well, before we dive into our topic for today, which I'm excited about, it's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I do want to mention our sponsor because we're so thankful for these guys and partnering with them and pointing you towards this great resource of Rents for Baby, a wonderful sponsor. If you're traveling, you have people coming to town that need some equipment for babies 0 to 5. These are your people. High level of excellence, high level of cleanliness. They clean all this stuff. They are paying attention to details that we just don't think about. And they're in over 30 states around America and growing. So exciting. So promo code to go check out more on their website is rentsforbaby.com. The promo code is Imperfect Parenting. And that will give you a 10% discount on any purchase you make with them as one of the Ipsters.
Yes. So elevate your vacation experience by one less thing to think about.
Beautiful.
All right. So we're going to dive into the topic of encouraging kids to do hard things. What does that look like? What is that world?
Why?
And why should we do that? And, we started hashing out this topic and we were kind of laughing because we had one really clear example that had happened. But then we were started scanning the rest of the kids and we're like, huh, we are doing hard things right now, guys.
With all of
Right
them.
now, all of them are doing some seriously hard things. So, we're talking about this in a space where we're in it again. Our kids have done hard things in the past in a different stages of their life. But now with, an adult child embracing adulthood and learning all that comes with that, and a teenager entering high school and the curiosity and everything that is introducing to that. And then a young boy who has entered puberty and really embracing that season of on his road to becoming a man. So we have a lot of we have a bonfire of hard things going on. So we're in it with you guys and we're going to talk about it. So we're in the process. So we'll talk about one. It's one of our victories that's happened right now. I think you should tell the story and then we can kind of
start with that.
Yeah, I think it gives context to just the victory around why doing hard things, why it matters.
Let me actually start with this quote from The War of Art, and then we'll come back to that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But it just sets it up for me in my head as well. Is The War of Art? It's a great book, written very intriguingly.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting read.
I think it's actually written the same way as The Art of War, from what I've heard. But the quote here, let me just say it. This can mean whatever you think it means, and then we'll tell you what we think it means in a minute.
We always do.
But the resistance feeds on fear. That line's just laying in there on this chapter on fear. And it just says, resistance feeds on fear. So this recent story with our young man, Lincoln, to try and capture details quickly for you, give you some backstory. One of the men that works in our office.
One of your band of brothers.
One of my band of brothers. If you've watched Dragon Slayer's podcast, if you haven't, you should. If you have, you've met Christian Zamora. He is one of the three hosts, myself, Danny, and Christian. Christian's just an absolute gem of human being, a great man doing a great job. If he feels like one of those guys that grabbed hold of new information and just put it to work right away, and we're watching his marriage, his parenting, his masculinity. I mean, all of it's just
whole family.
Yeah, it's incredible. So encouraging. He's also a fitness guru.
Sure.
Let's go with that. Christian, if you're listening, you are now a fitness guru. It's on the airwaves, but he really is. He's devoted a bunch of his life to the study of this and learning about it. He's putting all his life lessons together, and he's created this camp for young boys, ages 8 through 12, which is also the ages of his two of his three sons. But he put this camp on, and when I heard about this, I thought there is certain men in my life that I want pouring into my son. Mm-hmm. There's things that men carry, have authority in, that I don't at that same level, that I want to pour into my son. So when I heard he's doing this camp, I thought Lincoln's going. Lincoln's going to do this camp. I'm so excited for him. And so we had a little conversation about it, Lincoln and I, and he's like, okay. He didn't really understand fully what we're doing. We talked about it a few more times, and then we get to Sunday night before Monday morning. We have to leave. It's an hour drive for us to get to where we're going. We have to leave at 7 in the morning.
And he's doing this camp because it's summer.
Yeah.
There's nothing really going on.
Right.
It's good to have activity, get him out of the house.
So it's called Fit and Fun.
Mm-hmm.
Fitness and Fun Camp. There's like 22 boys signed up. So it's going to be a whole new experience. Mm-hmm. So on Sunday night, we're talking about it, and he says, Dad, I feel like you're forcing me to go. I said, okay. So we went for a little walk around the property, and the high point of the conversation was essentially, son, do you see me as a leader in your life? Yes. Okay. I'm asking you to trust me. And I describe what I just told you, which is there's men in my life that I think have something for you. It's going to help you. It's going to serve you well. So I'm asking you to trust me. I know this is hard, and this is not comfortable, but I'm not looking for comfortable for you right now. I'm looking for an opportunity to grow. You with me? And he gives me like this sideways thumb, not fully thumbs up, but like, okay, I'm with you, Dad. All right, buddy. Thanks for trusting me. Let's do this. Monday morning rolls around. We get up. Lunch is made. We're ready to go. He jumps in the car. We drive the hour. He's tired, so he's been sleeping most of the drive. We're about 10 minutes away. Hey, buddy, we're almost there. When you get up, he starts moving around. We pull in. when he pokes his head up and turns around to look at the park scene. There's about 20 boys standing in a big circle, getting ready to start. And you can just watch, like, almost tangibly, the fear sets in. And my son is now going through the math of all the things he's about to confront all at once. And he's like, why would I do this? So he gets up from the seat he's in the passenger seat, climbs in the back, grabs a blanket, covers himself, and just shuts down. Mm-hmm. Oh, buddy, what is going on? So I kind of crawl back there, poke my head close to his, and says, son, what's going on? What happened? He's like, I'm not doing this. He's like, I don't know anyone. They're going to make fun of me. It's going to be horrible. Let's just go home. I said, I know this is hard. I know this is scary. I'm not sure where making fun of you is coming from, but I get it. You don't know these people. So we have this conversation. We're talking about we do hard things. You've confronted this similarly in Taekwondo. Yeah. We're having all these conversations. And then Christian's wife sees that this is happening. She sends her son over, who's about Lincoln's age. He just encourages him. He's like, I don't know many people as well, but it's gonna be really fun. And then Christian ends up coming over and just reminds him that he has what it takes, that he can do this. And then his mom ends up calling, and Brittney calls in and just set some things in motion as well. Like he's heard a couple of times already up to this point. Lincoln, we're a Serpell. You're a Serpell, buddy. We do hard things. We try our best. You can do this. And then she, you got anything else there?
Yeah. I mean, you texted me and said he's refusing to get out of the car. So I was trying to call you to figure out what our game plan was. Your suggestion was he could come home and work and try again tomorrow.
Just to give quick context there, we're trying to figure out what's the consequence for our son refusing to do the hard thing. Mm-hmm. It's less about not doing what I say, it's refusing to do the hard thing.
Yeah, because he's afraid of and he's not wanting to confront his fear, which I told him, I said, son, if fear wins, you live a really small life. And a small life is not what God has planned for your life.
Yeah.
And this is the first stage of confronting your fear. And I said, do you think Daddy and I have ever get afraid? I said, we just went to a different country. We did a bunch of meetings. Do you think I'm ever afraid when I go to preach or when I go to speak or when I have to do any of these things? And he said, yeah. I said, do you know why we do the hard things? Why I face my fear? He said, no. I said, because I want you to see that I can do it. Because if you can see that I can do the hard things, the scary things, then you can believe that you can do them. I said, you didn't get to see me at 12 doing the hard things, but they were similar to your hard things. And so you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do. You're either going to face this on your own, choosing to be brave in this moment, or you're going to have to face a consequence, because our job is to help lead you. And that's what's going to happen right now. And he's like, well, what's the consequence? Of course, like every child would say, right in that moment. Said,
is it worth it?
And Ben's suggestion was him coming home and working, trading time, kind of like hassle time type of thing. But I knew that this boy is so stubborn. He would come and work all day. He would pick up every goat poop pellet in that field just fine. But he did not want to. He wouldn't do that. So I said, well, the consequence will be that there's no devices until you figure out how to do hard things. Because that's the problem for me, is his escape to the devices are easy. It's he kind of checks out. Yep. He removes himself from the hard things, the fitness piece. There's so many things that tie to him getting lost into the devices that don't fit with this very thing that we're looking for him to do. And he goes, well, when will that happen? I said, I don't know. And as far as like, when will he be confronting the hard things? I said, I don't know. I said, but that is completely up to you, how you face this. So then I gave it back to Ben.
Yeah. So he's a little bit of a shock, like, oh gosh, this is costly now. Mm-hmm. It's going to cost me something, which is what we want. We want you to count the cost. And I said, all right, buddy, I love you. You know what this is going to cost you, this decision you have to make. I'm going to get out of the car now. I'm going to know in 1 minute what you decide. I love you. and I get out of the car. Now, this whole process, I just need to point out that the inside of me wants to get mad.
Totally.
I want to control this kid. I don't want to because I know better, but there's this internal world swirling where I'm like,
well, you talked about being slightly embarrassed.
yeah,
I think that was the control piece.
Well, there's lots of emotions going on. And one of them is I'm a little embarrassed that I'm the only kid that won't engage. You know, he came the furthest. He probably knows the least amount of kids, but I'm the only one. I'm the only dad out there whose son isn't doing this. He won't engage with me. He's just dug his heels in. You know, so there's all these emotions going on that like maybe I can make him move if I just get controlling. I know that's not true, but the internal world wants to come out.
Yeah.
So that's all happening at the same time. So I'm doing a good job controlling me. I'm working really hard on that. And so I said, all right, buddy, I'm getting out of the car. The next hard thing you do now is get out of the car. That's your choice. And I closed the door. And I can feel him peeling himself up off the floor in the car. And he slowly gets out of the car. He closes the door. He's still touching the car. Like I can feel safety. And I said, dude, you did it. You're out of the car. All right. The next hard thing is we have to cross the road. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. So we cross the road. And he's just like one step at a time. This is so scary, which I can appreciate. Yeah. I'm not trying to point out that you shouldn't be afraid. You should be afraid. This is scary. But that's why it's so worth it. And at this point, they've moved down the field, so now they're further away, which means we have to walk further. It makes this like
even longer
feared confrontation walk even longer. But so we stop walking, and as we get closer, he hides behind a tree. He's like, "Dad, I just need a minute." I said, "Buddy, we've had all the minutes. This is the moment. You got this, dude. Come on." And so he follows me as we start walking towards. They're in this big circle doing stretches, and he walks over there. And as it gets closer, Christian says, "Guys, we have someone joining us." And they erupt in this applause. They're clapping for him. They make room for him. He steps in. Christian has him introduce himself, share his favorite sport. They give him high fives and welcome him in. And they're stretching, and it's begun.
Yeah. And
Lincoln's now part of the group. And to fast forward to the end of the week. I thought it was going to be okay. We're driving home, and my son says, "Dad, thanks for encouraging me." Mm-hmm. Which this is like what it's all worth right here. This is why we do this. He said, Dad, thanks for encouraging me to do that. I feel stronger. Mm-hmm. I feel faster. I feel more confident. And I can do this. Dad, thanks for encouraging me. And I was like, that son, I'm so proud of you, dude. Mm-hmm. I'm so proud of you, Lincoln. I always knew you had what it took. Just need to believe it yourself.
Right.
Whew. We go through the story.
We're all sobbing.
We go through the story. But this is why we do hard things, because my son owns something now. He has something that's his,
right,
that he can look back on. And what was so fun is, you know, we got to come home and tell Papa and Mimi and his sisters what he did and what he confronted, and he's a dragon slayer now. We're like, dude, you slayed that dragon. And we're all thanking Christian as a family, because this is a family win. When Lincoln wins and confronts this, we all get to win.
The fun part that I loved too was he didn't get to go today, actually, because we're filming all day to our wonderful audience listeners. So we couldn't figure out how to get him there today. And so yesterday was his last day, and he had a friend coming over, and his response to not being able to go today was, "Can you ask Christian what the workout's going to be so I can do it with my friend?" He's so sold in. He's so bought in, because like he discovered that he has what it takes.
Yeah.
He discovered that he is resilient. He beat away fear and he won, which just helps his self-esteem. It helps every time that he has to walk up to a group of young men and he doubts, will they accept me? He has one more victory that says, yes, they will, because I'm going to show up as a young man that believes in myself. Yep. And so much of, peer pressure and all that is showing up to that circle of kids believing I have what it takes.
Yep.
And so I know this whole episode is really just that story because we're already at time, but I think that's the best example that we have right now of why we encourage our kids to do hard things is even though he was faced with pain and he was super scared and even in that moment, he's, I don't want to go, I'm afraid. And I told him, I said, I can promise you that you're not going to die. I can promise you that you're likely going to have fun. And I can promise you that you're going to feel so much better if you choose to go.
Yeah.
And, here is a completely different kid than the beginning of the week. And even probably from here on, he'll have this little piece of him that is forever changed because he didn't let us partner with his fear.
Yeah. And part of the victory for me is actually inviting people into this too.
Yeah.
Letting people be a part of this. So I want to end it with that phrase again, the resistance feeds on fear. That I think it just gets harder and harder when we don't teach our kids how to confront the things they're afraid of or how to do hard things. The resistance just gets heavier, just gets stronger. And it's feeding on the fear. So it's growing with the amount of fear we let stick around. I had a therapist one time tell me in response to my own fear, I was working on confronting. She said, massive action is the way out of that fear.
Yeah.
Just put in massive action. So in Lincoln's case, it was getting out of the car. That was the massive action it started with. Yeah. So doing hard things has massive dividends when done with community, with love, vision,
leadership.
So that's our story. We're so thankful, but we're praying for your story too.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time.